LeBron didn't earn that money. Bill Gates didn't earn that money. Trump didn't earn his money. You hear me? Mark Zuckerberg didn't earn that money. You don't get rich through work. You amass obscene amounts of wealth through manipulation of monetary policy, of tax policy, of the patents and copyright laws. That's how money is made. And if you think you make money through work and you get out here and work and you think you're going to amass hundreds of $1 millions through work, you'll never get there. Even LeBron James, if he only got his basketball money and the money that the people pay him to play basketball, how do they get the money to pay him to play basketball? How do they get the money to get him to endorse products? He don't just sell us Nikes. He endorses Coca-Cola. How does Coca-Cola get its money? Coca-Cola finances death squads. So we shouldn't cheer for that money. That's all stolen money. I ain't saying don't give them something. I ain't saying you couldn't get comfortable money. But you don't deserve no damn $90 million for writing an algorithm or dribbling a damn basketball. That is it. But we've been told. We've allowed these people, the elites, to tell us, if I go stand over a hot grill serving people food, I don't deserve a living wage. But if I can dribble a ball, or if I can copyright or patent something I didn't even make, as long as I hold the patent to it and don't make a difference who made it, that they deserve almost $1 trillion. Based on what? Where does that come from? Who made that damn decision? Did we vote on it in this democracy? Do you understand that Franklin Delano Roosevelt made the upper income tax rate 99%, meaning that if you worked in the United States, you can make your first $1 million. That's yours. Walk with it. But every million you make after that, we're going to take $999,000 of it. And the only way to stop the government from taking $999,000 of your money is to reinvest it, put it back in the company or to donate it or something. But you ain't going to bank that because they understood you can't allow a monetary elite to emerge in your society because it erodes the social fabric. And like I said, cavemen races understand that better than black revolutionaries now. How a troglodyte understands better and has a better grasp of just economic policy than the so-called black revolutionaries that's trying to liberate and better our communities. You got black people out here supporting trickle-down economics. I thought we was against it. I remember when Reagan first talked about trickle-down economics. Black people were the first people to stand up and say, we don't want trickle-down economics. You're not going to allow the rich to amass all the money, and then we'll sit and hope in a starving corner that they might kick us back. Out of the hundreds and millions of children, poor starving children, 240 get a nice school. And that's a progress. That's black power. Well, you got to walk past a shrine to Nike, one of the most racist, exploitative companies in history. And our kids got to walk past a shrine to Nike in order to get a decent education. That is not progress. That is regression. So forgive me for not celebrating with you. Forgive me for not being able to take LeBron's benevolence outside of the larger economic context. Forgive me for being unable to look at this without an in-depth class analysis. I'm sorry. I wish I could. I wish I could just click off. I wish I could celebrate with y'all. We got another caller. Bro Diallo Show. You're live on the Bro Diallo Show. State your name and alias and where you're calling from. Hello?
How you doing, Diallo? This is Emil and I'm in St. Louis.
Hey, sis. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing this morning?
I'm not doing too well. I got people wanting to fight.
I've been listening to you this morning and even yesterday, not only you got people hot at you got people hot at me because I was sharing the post. Black folks, but one person said to me, I thought you was
enjoy the rest of our stay there. But yeah, black folks, I mean, this is revolution, man. And it's been so many times people have come with benevolence. And like I said, people that came at me. I hate deflating the wheels of the bandwagons. Call me negative, call me a hater, but fine, I'll claim that. I don't care. What would concern me is they would say, well, your analysis is incomplete. And here are the holes in your assertion. That's what concerns me. That if you really want to hit me, do that. Show me the holes. Show me the holes. Show me the inconsistency. Show me the historical precedent that shows benevolent black elites helping black people to stand in opposition to the system that oppresses the black masses but enriches the black elites. Show me that. Show me an example. I've got my own examples, and I don't see LeBron following those examples. I recognize it. I love it. So if you say, a lot of people are like, what do you expect the brother to do? I would expect him to, at the very least, engage conscious revolutionary scholars in building the institutions, to engage the community and find out what the needs and deficits are specific to that community, and then establish a community of elders that live in Akron, a community of activists that are in Akron. Instead of having this woman, the executive director, running the thing, have the people from the community running and have oversight, and with the assistance of conscious revolutionary African scholars from the U.S. and abroad. I would also say you need larger infrastructure, in terms of small business cooperatives for a fraction of what you put up. You can put a little less opulence in the school and set up some cooperative enterprises. Because the theme of that school, because what I'm going to learn if I go to this nice school, I'm from Akron, broke down, struggle-ass Akron, and I'm seeing what the world could offer me. then the first thing, that's what we've been doing since, I don't know when, since a different world. We got to get out the hood. And then you get a few of those best and brightest, and they'll get off to the best schools in the world and never look back. Or maybe they will, and then they'll set up an extractive force. And maybe there could be something in the contract. That's what I said about Cosby. I said, anybody to get a Cosby scholarship, why can't say Cosby says, listen, these are some selected institutions and organizations that when you graduate on a Cosby dime, when you get that Cosby scholarship, you have to go give at least 5 years. It's like an African-centered Peace Corps. You got to go get 5 years of whatever your skill, whether your skill is literature, whether your skill is engineering, whether your skill, whatever your skill that you get from the Cosby dollar, you're going to commit to at least 5 years. And we hope after 5 years of working within this institution, you will volunteer to stay longer. So you get 4 years education, 4 years coming to the community. We can do what we want. But literally, you got black people training up and financing the educations of other black people, and IBM, Microsoft reaps all the reward from that. The Pentagon, West Point, reaps all the reward. And you talk about the cycles of money. How money is supposed to bounce in the community or recycle through the community. It ain't just money bouncing in the community. Technical skills need to recycle through the community. Technical skills are more important than fiat currency. Ideas are supposed to bounce in the community. And not just paper money, but resources. I never hear people like, yo, you know, I have a friend, associate, somebody I know casually, who's a scientist. When he comes to the community, he comes to party. When he goes to work for a white company. But when I work, and they tell you, I work hard. So when I get off work, I want to relax. So all of your active intellectual work goes to the multinational corporation, and then all of your leisure is spent with us. And we love leisure. I ain't against leisure. Your house music, chosen few, do your leisure. But that's what we've cultivated. I'm telling y'all, we're not going to get free like this. We're not going to get free feeding more brilliant black minds into the systems and institutions of our oppressor. We're not going to get free mimicking the behaviors, protocols, and practices of our oppressor. We're not going to get free if we don't have a cogent, coherent, thorough class analysis. We're not going to get free if we don't develop an ongoing distrust of the elites, of their motivations, of their contribution. We're not going to get free. All of this is necessary. And I ain't saying we got to go this far, but if you look at Cambodia, if you look at China, if you look at Cuba, you'll see what they did with their elites, with their benevolent people who would now again bestow upon the unwashed masses some blessing from time to time, giving alms to the poor. Look at when the revolution comes. In Louisiana, there were almost 24 black-owned plantations. Black people of black flesh and bone who bought, sold, and traded and enslaved Africans. And every single black plantation owner, those black people had been under what is called meritorious manumission. Again, Claude Anderson, his book, Dirty Little Secrets, goes into depth. Black people who had secured meritorious manumission. When they secured meritorious manumission, they were given all the rights of a white man. They were officially honorary white people. And they were given the opportunity to sign contracts, to have their grievances heard in court, to buy property, and to own slaves. If they were black slaves, they couldn't buy white slaves. That was the one caveat. And every single one of those wealthy black plantation owners, during the Civil War, every single one of them fought on the side of the Confederacy. Not one of them crossed that line. It's like, as bad as this system is, this is the system I got paid in. This is the system I amassed my wealth in. This is the system that has granted me the opportunity to hold property. So as bad as it is for the rest of y'all niggas, it's all good for me. And maybe some of those wealthy black plantation owners in the 1850s, in the 1860s, maybe some of them would sit down, some little black slave boys, and say, listen, let me tell you, because they couldn't tell slave girls. I said boys specifically because even white women weren't allowed to enter into contracts and trade property and all that. So white women didn't even have the rights. The intimate oppressed. It's a good chapter on that in Howard Zinn's book, White Women Under Oppression, from White Men. But anyway, they might have sat down with some little black boys and said, listen, you see how I was a black man, but I got me a plantation, I got me some plots of land, I got me some slaves to work that land, I got me some holdings, and I got me a fine suit. And I'm going to teach you other little black boys how to get what I got. And this is how you secure meritorious manumission. After you get your meritorious manumission, then you get you your plot of land, and then you get that adjacent plot of land, and then you go get you a few other niggers, and maybe some of those black plantation owners were willing to teach a few black kids how they could get a plantation. Is that progress? The only thing worse than adopting the religion of your slave owner is adopting the economic system of your slave owner. The only thing worse, more tragic than adopting the religion, we got a lot of black folks that are so hip. Yeah, the slave, Jesus, good ship, Jesus Lubeck brought it, and we were the slave master's religion, the white man's God. And what I tell my people, we have to navigate this system. Like the first caller, my man Cole said when he called in, we ain't about to flip this tomorrow. We ain't about to flip this a century from now unless we get some things, some base behavior. So I agree, we're not about to flip this tomorrow. So send your son to or daughter to the LeBron school. Go downtown and apply for your food stamps or your housing voucher. When election time comes, go down and vote for the political platform that best speaks to your interests, your community's interests. But as you engage in these acts, have an understanding that this ain't it, that we're working towards something big. When you go to work, go and smile at the water cooler, at your racist coworkers that make more than you but do less than you. Smile. I ain't saying go down and say you honky cracker of the honky cracker town. Don't do that at work. I ain't saying be irrational. I ain't even saying go on there and say forget LeBron James school, because then you got some dude trying to, make a formal date to fight you. So I ain't even saying you got to be as stupid as I am. But what I'm saying is, we have to understand that it's going to take a revolution. And when we think revolution, all we see is the AK-47 shooting in the air and the brothers riding on the back of trucks with burning flags and trenches dug in the soil and lines drawn in the sand. You don't see the decades, the generations that led up to the Haitian, Chinese, even the American Revolution. All the edicts and the announcements and that were written up and given. Revolution is an intellectual endeavor. And we think we can close our minds off. And I know what it's like to want to win. So bad that you'll define a loss as try to flip a loss into a win. But I don't support feudalism in any manifestation. I don't support oligarchy in any manifestation. And we can't compromise ourselves, because what's going to happen is the same thing that happened in the continent of Africa when the white man was ousted. He was ousted from the soil and he was still in our minds. So if we got liberation tomorrow and we're still of the thing that we should allow a certain select population of black people to amass billions and millions of dollars, and then we will allow them to determine individually, without any accountability, who's worthy to trickle down some of that billions to. You get a school, and you get a school, and you get a school, like some Oprah nonsense. But y'all over here, y'all don't get nothing. That's not acceptable. And even it happens now, if we're powerless to do anything about it, at the very least, we're not powerless to think about it. We at least can engage in independent critical thought. So when the opportunity comes to correct it, we'll do it. You think you can abandon the thought? Tom, listen, next week, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, Friday, we're going to talk about victim to vector and the cycle of abuse. We're going to talk about a lot of these abusers when they get caught abusing, they want to talk about their own abuse. And you talk about Charlemagne the rapist and our pedophile Kelly. You are a pedophile Kelly. And how when they get caught, they like to come out and say, well, I was 12 or 36-year-old women. So we got these cycles of abuse. And you don't know whether to have sympathy or hatred, or whether you don't know how you're supposed to feel about that. Here's an abused person. Here's a kid whose mom grew up in a drug den, hungry and cold, and then he had to hustle drugs and sell drugs to somebody else's mama to get off drugs. I got to turn off your lights to keep my lights on. This system of compounding oppression, of dog eat dog, of focusing on the crabs in the barrel instead of the damn crab trapper who put them in the barrel. So we're going to talk about where these cycles of abuse come from. How do we deal with abusers, abuse victims who become abusers? And is there anything that can be done about it? The plague of pedophilia and child abuse, the plague of domestic violence, the plague of self-hatred and self-loathing, the plague of a system that commodifies and turns people into objects for sexual pleasure, that turn people into objects, to turn children into a burden, that shames mothers and isolates fathers if they don't have the fiat currency to be worthy of reproduction. So we're going to talk about that system of abuse, where it comes from, how it's sustained, how we can challenge, and one day defeat that system of abuse. I didn't mean to turn this into the LeBron show. I'll make the adjustments online to the title. Thank you for listening, Bro Diallo Show. I know this is the worst time to do it, but I do need support. I just paid off several bills and fees accrued by the Bro Diallo Show. I'm finally back in the black, but as today, I'm starting to accrue more debt. I'm still financing the show out of my pocket. Ain't no angel investor over here. So this show is for by and of the people, so I depend on the people for support, and the people will determine whether I remain on air or not. So go to DialloKenyatta.com, Patreon.com/Diallo Kenyatta. Kick in where you can. Also, I want to give a shout out to my man, Travis Long, who sent me this wonderful shirt that I'm going to be wearing on the air tomorrow. This wonderful Nzinga shirt.